Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Brey Radio Show live from O'Rourke's Public House. I'm Jack Nolan, joined as always by the head coach of the Fighting Irish, Mike Brey, and a heck of a win on Tuesday night. Again, we keep talking about it, but it keeps getting more interesting, more wacky. I've never been around a Notre Dame team that's had as many bits and bouts of adversity throughout the season as your team has, and some of the teams I've been around would have started mailing it in by now. And you were outmanned by North Carolina on Saturday. People forget, you led for 17 minutes of the first half. Yeah. So it wasn't like you weren't in the game, but they wore you down and kind of blew you out in the second half.
Yep.
And then you come back against the number one defensive team in the NCAA in terms of points allowed, the number one defensive team in the ACC in just about every category, and you beat them in double overtime.
Wild one, huh? I mean, I love our group. I love my team, man. They keep battling and digging and coming back to practice every day, wanting to know how can we get better? What do we need to do to get better? A 1-1 week for this team is something that's pretty good for who we are right now. You get it put on you by North Carolina in the second half. You bounce back, and you had a couple. What I love about Tuesday night is we had a couple times throughout the night where you're thinking, man, I guess we just can't get this one, and we go to another overtime, and we figure out a way to get out of there. We've been pretty darn good in these overtimes. I'd like to just get to overtime the rest of the season. I think we're 9-1 in our last 10 overtime games. Certainly, Steve Astoria made some big plays. Zach August, I thought, was fabulous. Our veteran guys were good. Garrick Sherman playing with a little banged-up finger, which is going to ail him the rest of the year, but we can tape it accordingly. But we win the game. You got to feel good about that. And now we're on the road for a brutal stretch. I mean, we've never had a stretch like this, maybe in the history of our program, where we're in Boston, Miami, and Charlottesville, Virginia, and they're all individual trips because we'll be back to be in class Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
The only thing that I can remember in my time here, which goes back to 1982, like this, were some of Digger's holiday, Christmas break trips. But you stayed out on the road.
Right.
We once went from L.A. to Boston, but you got there a day early, and you weren't coming back to campus. And unlike, I think, the vast majority of schools probably would come back from Boston on Sunday night.
Yes.
But then you'd go to Miami on Tuesday, and you'd go from Miami on Thursday to Virginia. You wouldn't come back to campus, but you've got rules here. Your three-class rule, missed class rule. You've got to come back. I know you're behind that, but even if you wanted to stay out, you can't.
No, I mean, that's not who we are. We have a missed class policy. The Big East was always great working with us, and the ACC has learned how to work with us. That was one of the things as we negotiated our entrance into the league, that we have a missed class policy, so you're going to have to work with on schedules. The one that's going to be draining for us is it's a 9 o'clock game in Miami Wednesday night. So by the time you get back here, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., guys need to be in school. We'll get back, practice Thursday afternoon, and then we're on a plane again for a 2 o'clock Virginia. But we'll pace them. We've been there, done that. We'll pace them. We'll be smart about our practices and make sure we don't overdo it in practices throughout, even really starting tomorrow, because the stretch starts tomorrow. Today was our off day. The stretch starts tomorrow with us on the floor every day doing something for a lot of days, and 9 straight days.
And you didn't do a lot yesterday either, double overtime. Now, if you lose the game sometimes, you want them to get out there and get up and down a bit, but you lifted, and that was kind of basically it yesterday.
Yeah, we really, we had guys play 50 minutes, 49 minutes, 38 minutes. We needed to get our legs under us a little bit. Certainly, Eric Atkins and Pat Connaughton are playing really long minutes, and they're in great shape, but you got to be careful what you do with them in between the games right now. So Wednesday, Thursday were good days for some of those guys to really get refreshed. Tomorrow we can go at it pretty good and fairly long. Saturday will be a quick tune-up, and we get on that plane to Boston. And then, Monday and Thursday we have to be smart about what we do physically with this group. But, again, it's not something we haven't done before here, and having guys playing long minutes is not far into this program either.
The other night in pregame and during the game, the Twitter world kind of imploded because a certain young man from Mishawaka was not there. And people are listening to this show right now kind of hoping for an update, and I thought you handled it well at the press conference.
Yeah.
You were very clear the other night what went on, and you were very clear today about we're not going to be giving updates.
Yeah, and again, there's no underlying story other than better academic habits. I was asked today about an update, and I said, I'm not going to get daily updates on Demetrius. I do feel he's plugging back in and catching back up, and that's the key. And when he's caught back up and back in a rhythm, we'll do basketball again. And he's been great. And he'll react well to it. Again, I was so impressed. I'll say it again. I was so impressed with what he did in the first semester. He had a very solid GPA for his first semester in college and the time commitments of college basketball. Searching for that rhythm again, I believe we'll have that in short order.
And again, he's not banished. You're still in touch with him. Eric's been talking to him. He's still in contact with the team. He's just not, at the moment, involved in basketball.
Well, I work him out every night at 10 after study hall. He and I get down in the gym, and after tonight will be the third night in a row. We'll do it. It's a chance for me to get in and work him out. It's a chance for me to keep teaching and counseling and helping him move forward. So, no, we haven't, thrown him out of the place. It's just a matter of getting back to those good habits that I've seen before, and I believe we'll be there quickly.
And this is not anything that's all that new in your tenure here. Academics, obviously, always important for a college athlete. Probably more important here because they don't let you slide. You don't shoot for mediocre here. You shoot for excelling academically here. That's what they press you to do. And a good article in the paper today about Torrey Jackson, and he was in a similar situation and how he felt he wasn't pleased when you did it, but he quickly came to realize not only was it better for him, he said it greatly improved his relationship with you.
No question. I mean, and there's been cases where we've done it before. Haven't really had to do it during the season much. Torrey's was a little different, but I think Torrey and I got very close through it and saw that they're standards that have to be met, and nobody's bigger than the program, and you got to do it, and you got a lot of help to do it when you're engaged. So. Demetrius will react like Torrey. He'll understand it, and young people need that sometimes, and I think the world of them. And, again, we'll be working out here in a couple hours and getting an update on how things are going.
Folks, we still, if you're here, the many who are here tonight in O'Rourke, so we have room for a few more questions if you want to get them up here. Got some real nice gear we're going to give out after the show, Coach. And when we come back, I want to touch a little bit more on two segments. A segment of young guys who did so well the other night, and some older guys who really need to be saluted, I think, as we lead into our segment tonight with Eric Atkins. But first, our first time out, the Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. We are back on the Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. The victory over Clemson, and again, because it's a new league, and when you think of the ACC, a lot of folks don't think Clemson, so I don't think they understood what you were taking on the other night, but you were taking on a team that had already won 3 ACC road games, that had already beaten Duke, that led the nation in fewest points allowed, and led the ACC in block shots, field goal percentage defense, three-point percentage defense, and you led for the majority of that game. It got away down the stretch because they have a heck of a player in McDaniels. And then this is what I love about this team. Even when you lost the lead, then you turn the ball over at the end of the first overtime, you guys just keep going back on the floor and just keep playing at the same level.
That's a good theme. Just keep playing, because that's really what this group has done. We were in control the whole game. It's hard to get away from them because they really are good defensively, and McDaniels is really good. We didn't have many answers for him. But you can't close it at the end of regulation. At the end of the overtime, you feel you get the ball in bounds, you win the game. We can't get the ball in bounds, and we foul and make another adventure out of it. We go back for another overtime. We go down 1 in the overtime. Bastoria hits a 3 in the corner, with 50-some seconds left. And I really love this group, the character and the will to, we're going to keep coming at you. And, I just think more good things will happen because of that trait.
Now, we've talked right now with the younger guys, they're in the accelerated program, which your system usually doesn't do. Your system's based on old. You built this team to be old, and really built kind of around Jaron. He was involved in everything. So now he's gone, and you've got young guys, Steve Astoria, facing that defense, and they threw a 1-3-1 at you, which I don't even know if they played that before. I hadn't seen it much.
That was new, and it did give us some problems till we adjusted. But you're right. Our young guys are getting on-the-job training. like it or not, maybe a little bit more than we first thought back in September or October, but it is what it is. But you know what? I think they're getting better. Steve Astoria, again, continues to get better, and he may be our best perimeter defender. He's underrated there. VJ Beacham gets a start, but has played well for us and is getting more confident. Zach August, I think you're seeing a guy even more and more confident there as well. So, you know, the disappointing thing was I felt Burgett was trending up before the Florida State.
He had a couple double-figure games, and he was having a great game at Florida State.
He was our starting foreman, and now again we're kind of working him back, and I'd love to get him back. We'll get him back full. I hope it's more Sunday than Wednesday or next Saturday. So yeah, I mean, so you're throwing some guys in there, and they're going to have to learn and play through tough stuff, and in the midst of us being 4-8 in the league, I don't ever want to lose sight of encouraging and giving confidence to young guys when they do something well. And in the midst of maybe a loss, I think you can still build up a VJ Beacham or a Bastoria or even a Zach August, because that's going to pay off down the road. And you hope it's this season, but maybe it's not this season. It will be next season.
As a veteran coach, Steve Astoria, second overtime, throws a terrible pass to start the overtime, gives them an easy bucket. And yet then he comes back and hits not one, but two huge threes that actually wins the game. What does that say about him, and how unusual is that? Because a lot of guys would have been pressing and wouldn't have come back and kept the composure to basically win the game after what was a brutal mistake.
He has an amazingly steady personality. He's very stable. He doesn't get overly emotional. And I think he's able to flush a mistake and get on to the next play better than most 18-year-olds. And there was a great example of it, because you're right. He throws that one away, and I'm thinking, I don't know about tonight. And then he comes back, boom, and he comes back again in the corner and, you know, just really makes big plays and steps up confidently every time. The one thing that he's doing more of, he did it more yesterday, and we got to continue this, is driving the ball, curling screens, and getting in the lane like Connaughton does. We know he can shoot. We don't want him to just be a jump shooter, and he can't play safe anymore. He's got to attack for us a little bit and give us another guy to get into the lane. I thought Tuesday night he was getting in there, curling stuff, going in to make plays. He got fouled, and that's needed, and he's ready to do that.
Another guy, Zach August, and I've always thought it takes bigger guys a little longer, in part because they were so physically dominant in high school they didn't have to be any good. The worst fundamental young player I ever saw in college was Shaquille O'Neal. I did 2 games when he played at LSU. He was horrible. He never had position. He would either knock people over or go over them. But Zach, I thought, played his most complete game, his first double-double, but not just the 14 points. He's been pretty good scoring, but the rebounding was so important.
Rebounding the ball for us, especially defensively, that's where I've been after him. He gets on the offensive boards. He's an active guy. He's athletic, but he got on the defensive boards. I think he had 6 defensive rebounds on Tuesday, and we need that out of him. With that activity and length and strength, he can be another defensive rebounder for us. You know, I would like to see those big guys be insulted that Connaughton always leads in rebounding and, you know, challenge him a little bit. But I think for Zach, that's what I've been after him about practice. I said, can you go get one of those defensively? And he flew around. He blocked a couple shots. He's just been really an energy guy for us, really active. And again, I think he's playing well and getting confident here, and comes really at a key time for us.
You guys have stopped thinking about Jaren not being here anymore because he's gone. You can't deal with it. But I keep reminding folks who go, well, you know, he was your number 1 scorer. Yeah. He was older. Your other 3 guys, here's where I'm going with this, Coach. Your other 3 guys who you have coached and put in positions to be main people this year still remain in the top 3 in scoring in the ACC in both league games and overall. They continue to be. Eric is among the leaders in all of the assist categories, and Connaughton and Sherman are among the leaders in the top 10 in all the rebounding categories. Connaughton's the number 1 defensive rebounder in the ACC, and Eric and Garrick is the number 2 rebounder overall. So your veterans are doing exactly what you expected them to do, and they haven't let up at all because they're missing one of their pieces.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned, you know, we've really distanced ourselves from Jaren a long time ago. I know it keeps getting brought up on all the TV. I mean, that's over and done. We'll revisit that in the summer when he comes back and joins us, and we look forward to that. But there's no question, Sherm, Eric Atkins, Pat Connaughton have been there every day, every night, really grinding, giving ourselves a chance to win. They've also had the responsibility of coaching up the young guys, and they have as much an impact on the young guys, maybe more than I do many times. And I think there's nights they're looking for some help for some other guys, and there's nights they get the help. But those three have been rocks. They've led. They've set the tone in our locker room. And, leading during a season like this is truly leading in a challenge. I told Eric Atkins this when we came back from Christmas. I said, as our main voice, this will be, I don't know if any captain has been handed a tougher situation than our captains, and especially Eric Atkins. And he is poised and comes back every day doing it and has thoughts about how we can be better. And but no, I'm very pleased. Those three guys have been rock solid, and again, we need them down the stretch.
And again, your job, and you embrace it, your job is to make the guys you have as good as they can be. I keep bringing it up, and I think you should be happy TV does, because in the social media world, I get the emails too. People, well, they're not living up to expectations. They were picked here, and they're here. And I talked to Dan Bonner a little bit, who's one of the leading analysts in the ACC. He said, look, Jack, there isn't a team in the country that could lose to Jaron Grant and not have a major impact. And I just want people to judge with that lens as opposed to the August lens when you were picked to finish fifth in the conference.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, and understandable. And, the one thing that I'm really proud of what we build around here is we are all very disappointed when it doesn't look like we're going to get to the NCAA tournament. Like, that was a goal when we got here in 2000 after the decade of the 90s where we didn't go at all. And so that's a good thing that there's, that's good. The bar is high, and we're disappointed that it right now it looks, boy, it's going to be hard to, we're going to keep trying, but it looks hard. And so I love the fact that that's where our fans are, and that's where our team is, and that's where our coaching staff is. We've been to 6 out of 7. We've been to 4 in a row, and, we're down when we're not in the mix and we're not being talked about that. So that's what we've created. We're proud of that. The hand we're dealt is the hand we're dealt right now. But there's a lot of basketball, and there's a lot of interesting things that can happen the last 2 weeks of a basketball season and in a league tournament. And that's what you give your guys, have to have hope and have to have a reason to come in and keep playing and trying to figure this out. And I'm fully confident with the captains that I have that we'll come in tomorrow ready to roll, and what can we do to be better and try and get a win on the road in Boston.
Folks, Steiner is your exclusive provider of game-used and hand-signed ND collectibles. Visit steinersports.com or call 1-800-759-SCORE to speak with one of our VIP sales associates. Our audience question segment coming up next on the Mike Brey Radio Show. We've got a bunch of questions here from an outstanding crowd here at O'Rourke's Public House here on the Mike Brey Radio Show. We're going to do a quick question segment, then we'll get Eric Atkins up here. Diane Waltman's here from Mishawaka. Coach, is this season, with all of its controversy, wearing you out? Because it sure is wearing me out, and I'm just watching.
Not at all. Not at all. I think you're built to deal with what you got to deal with on a daily basis. And, I got great kids to work with on a daily basis. They come in, they want to be coached, they're enthusiastic. They're not walking around with their heads down. If some of our fans are like that, I'd say grow up. I said our kids are coming in and competing every day and trying to get better and trying to see if they can put 2 wins in a row together. And we got an upperclassmen that are rock solid guys, coaching staff that's in teaching every day. You do what you do. You handle what you got out there, and I think the leader has to be poised and enthusiastic and ready to teach every day.
Kevin from Granger is used to the bar being high. Coach, you have some tough games to finish out the schedule. How many wins do you need to get into the NCAA tournament?
I don't know if we can even be talking about that. I mean, I think for us, if you could get to 8 league wins, you're probably in the discussion a little bit again. If you're at 8 league wins and then you go to
and make some noise in the tournament,
and go to Greensboro and do some stuff. I think 8 and 10. It would maybe keep you on the periphery of the discussion, and then you go to Greensboro and do some things, and that's the reality of where we're at. And I don't think no one knows it better than my seniors. You know, they know the deal. They know. You know, as I told them in the locker room after the game, you know, they only have 7 guaranteed games left in their careers, 6 regular season and 1 in the ACC tournament. That's the only guarantees they have. So I think their sense of urgency is really high.
And, of course, you can win the ACC tournament. And folks, that's always – you mentioned it to your guys that chance is there. And we've actually we did this for the season. We changed our taping schedule for your last TV show. We used to do it on Selection Sunday, and we're not going to for the hopeful probability someday that you're busy Sunday afternoon in Greensboro.
That's right.
We're going to tape it on Monday now.
Even though the ACC tournament championship game may swing to Saturday, there is discussion.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think there's discussions about that and getting that slot eventually. Right now it is Sunday. And obviously you win the ACC tournament, you have an automatic bid. And Connecticut had an unbelievable run in the Big East tournament, winning 5 games to get it and then go ahead and win 6 more. You know, so, you know, in sport, young people, anything can happen. And for us, we're trying to right now very narrow it down and see if we can win 2 in a row in this league. You know, we got 1, 2. Can we win 2 in a row in this league and win on the road, get our first road win?
Sue from Boston's always here. A lot of good things happened during the Clemson win. What do you think was the most important?
You know, I thought offensively we were in a pretty good rhythm in the combination of running a little bit more, especially on made field goals. And then our half-court offense, I thought we did a better job of really screening and moving and kind of staying committed to kind of our screening pairs with our big guys really screening for our perimeter guys. I thought that helped our perimeter guys get in there. Pat got to the rim, Eric, and then our big guys rolling off stuff. And I think that's something that's really good for us when we can keep 2 big guys on the floor. The interesting thing about Sunday is, you know, they usually have 4 shooters on the floor all the time. So, you know, one of your big guys could be put in a real tricky matchup where he's not playing post defense. He's chasing around a 3-point shooter. The game here against Boston College, we had to play small some to be able to match up. But what that did is it also helped us offensively a little bit too. And sometimes that has really helped us offensively because it opens the floor. Pat's our second big guy, and you got more of a perimeter look around Sherm or Zach or Tom Knight, and it kind of opens the floor up a little bit more.
Deacon Sean Cavaney is here from Litchfield, Illinois. Being in Illinois, many of us were sad to hear of the retirement of referee Ed Hightower. Can you give some of your thoughts regarding him and his ending his officiating career?
One of the all-time pros, Ed Hightower. I remember when I was an assistant at Duke, he had the 1990 national championship game. Great story about Ed Hightower. You know, we're playing Vegas, who was rolling and was crushing us. Anderson Hunt runs the right lane, and their transition breaks so fast early in the game. He runs over Ed Hightower, and he does like 2 somersaults into our bench. I think I helped him up. But Ed Hightower was one of the great officials in the game, a class act.
Great demeanor,
tough, strong, but a guy who could come in. You know, the art of being able to diffuse a coach, coming over and talking to a coach, I think that's really underrated with officials now. The guys that can do that really are able to manage a game better, and he did it great.
TJ's here from Elkhart. Coach, what is the one most significant way that playing in the ACC is different from playing in the Big East?
Oh, it's a great question. You know, probably in this league, the second big guy can stretch the floor more consistently than in the Big East. What was more of a power forward that played around the basket, maybe wasn't skilled, block shots and rebound. You have a power forward that can face up. We had one Tuesday night. We'll certainly have one. You know, so it spreads you out a little bit, and it makes it tricky playing 2 bigger guys if they have to guard a stretch 4-man. You know, we've made a living off of stretch 4-men like Scott Martin, Tim Abramitis, Rob Kurz, Zach Hillsland. Those guys have been really good. That's how we've played. Austin Burgett is that for us and was in that before he had his issue. But that's probably the biggest thing. One of the adjustments is just getting to know their personnel. You know, I watched the Boston College Tech game before I came over here. It was postponed till today. They played at 5. I think BC won it. When I walked out, they were up 5 with 2 minutes to go. But you're just trying to get a feel for for personnel because you have no history with these schools like you did with Villanova or Georgetown or Syracuse. Certainly we knew Syracuse. We know Pittsburgh guy. I know BC's guys because it's our second time. I'll know Georgia Tech's guys because it's their second time. Miami, I don't really know them very well, and Virginia will be a repeat. So I think you're still learning systems of coaches and players. And it takes a while to get a feel and kind of get a book on a program like we had a book on every program in the Big East, and they had a book on us.
And we have a book on Eric Atkins, and it's a good one. Eric joins us next on the Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. Welcome back to the Mike Brey Radio Show. Coach Brey is here, and, of course, the only three-time captain in the history of this basketball program, Eric Atkins, joining us now. He's also only the fifth member of the 1,000-point, 500-assist club in Notre Dame history. And just talk about what he has meant and continues to mean to your program.
This is one of the class acts in the history of our program right here. He has been a key guy since his freshman year. He joined a team that was a 2 seed that won 27 games and was a key guy for us as a young guy. Took over the quarterbacking spot as a sophomore. Been up there in assist to turnover, even in his freshman year. It's really having a coach on the court. He has such a great feel for our system and how we want to play, and I value his feedback as much as I value any of the assistants' feedback on the course of a game, what we should do, how we should handle somebody on the team. He's been thrust into leading in a very, very difficult situation, and I think he's done it with amazing grace and poise and toughness. I will miss him. I really have relied on him. Obviously, it's hard for me to even take him out of the game because I don't trust anybody else with the ball right now. But that's kind of how it's been with our point guards. But a close relationship with this guy, and he's reacted unbelievably. Lost his roommate and his buddy at Christmas to he's not around anymore. He's willed us to some wins. He's just flat out said, the first game when we came back, the Canisius game, I'm just not going to let us lose. Boston College was kind of like that. He's Duke game. He just kind of wills us to stuff, and he's a pleasure to coach. He's got a future to play a little bit for some money, but he's going to be a heck of a coach someday too. But this is kind of his major too. So don't talk to me now. Let him handle things because, heck, it may be his show someday when he's the head coach at Notre Dame.
I'm going to have him read one of the promos before the show's over, by the way.
That's good.
That's going to be a real test to him.
Test him.
Because usually you get to pre-read the promos. We're going to test him and make him read it cold. But one of the things I've always noticed about Eric is that when you needed somebody to score, he's able to create offense. But you always subjugated that to the fact of running the team. And with Jaron gone this year, time after time, when the team has just been screaming for points, you've come up with it. He mentioned the Canisius game, career-high 30, critical game. You win that in overtime. You had a team-high 16 on Saturday or Tuesday against Clemson with 6 assists. You hit the buzzer beater to beat BC. I mean, you were a scorer in high school, but just talk about how you approach the game and your willingness to take on whatever responsibility the team needs you to do most.
Well, first and foremost, I always come to the game and I want to be a complete point guard. I'm looking for my teammates first, and then for this team now, I do have to score a little bit more, and Coach Brey always tells me to look for my shot, and then I start looking for my shot and get going.
I mean, this year has been wacky and not necessarily in a good sense. I've never been around a Notre Dame team that has had so many strange, negative things happen to it, and we're now in mid-February. And this is usually where a team that's had a tough year, I mean, you run and practice and you show up, but you just don't keep putting it together. But your team keeps putting it together. The only times that you haven't been in games when a couple of really good teams just kind of beat you down after about 30 minutes. What is it about this team? And you're one of the leaders, one of the main leaders, how you keep coming back and competing against everybody you play right now?
Well, this is a really resilient group. I think every single day we come in and work really hard. And we believe that we can beat anybody, and I think that's a huge key. When a team believes, every single game is going to be a tough one for the other team, and we we believe we're going to get that win.
You were the ACC Player of the Week after the Canisius game. You were the ACC Player of the Week after Notre Dame, something that we will always remember, won their first ACC game over Duke and two of your best friends. What did it mean to you to receive that honor both times?
It meant a lot, to win the ACC Player of the Week. 2 times in a row, especially getting it against Duke. Playing against 2 of my best friends. It was a special experience out there. And to get the W made it even better.
I mean, you used to visit those guys at Duke, and did you play in like the scrimmage, the Coach K fantasy camp? Were you down there for that 1 year with them and play with them and whatnot?
I was down there in the summer. I got to play with him a little bit.
He was spying.
Yeah. Looking at their plays and whatnot. But I have a good time down there. I have good friends on the team. But when it came to the game, it was all business.
And that bond, very interesting, because all 3 of you went through the same tragic situation, losing your dads before you were in 10th grade in high school, and I know your dad had such a great influence on you, played Division II college basketball. I mean, that common thread, how did you guys help yourselves through it? Because I lost my dad, Eric, last year, and the team was great. You guys found out about it. But, I mean, I was in my 50s. You were still in high school, and to lose a guy like that, how did you guys help each other through that?
Well, it started with Nolan Smith. He was a very big help to Quinn and I, losing our father so young. And then he really just helped us. He always told us that he was there for us. He was somebody that we could call whenever we needed something. So I really give all thanks to him. He really helped us. And then I was the next one who lost my father. And then I was just there for Quinn. We all helped each other and made each other stronger.
Your recruiting trip to here was kind of interesting. And I heard a story. I know about the movie. So let's get that out of the way. You've told that before, but you were in the hotel room, not sure what to do, and you turn on the TV. What was on the TV?
Rudy was on.
And did you think that was some kind of a sign?
Yeah, I did. I think Coach Brey probably had it plugged up, ready to play.
We were piping that thing.
But, I mean, you were really interested in Notre Dame, but you weren't exactly sure where Notre Dame was. So when you got off the plane, where did you think you were?
Oh, man. I didn't know where Notre Dame was until I made the trip. So my first reaction of where Notre Dame was, I thought it was in Boston. Because in my head, I thought that because of the Boston Celtics, it had something to do with the Irish. So I just figured that Notre Dame was in Boston. So.
And when did you find out it wasn't?
When I looked at my ticket and saw South Bend, Indiana.
Well, we're glad you stayed on the plane. There's no question about that. As always, he's a veteran, and the veterans answer the fast break questions differently than the younger guys. So we're going to give Eric his last shot at that question drill when we come back here on the Mike Brey Radio Show, live from O'Rourke's Public House. Now, Eric, we're back at the Mike Brey Radio Show, O'Rourke's Public House. Eric is a film, television, and theater major at Notre Dame, and it wouldn't be entirely fair because I never read any promos without pre-reading them. So I've let him pre-read this promo that we need to read tonight about an upcoming special event involving the Notre Dame basketball program. He wants to take my job. He's better looking, probably smarter, so this is his first opportunity. Take it away, Eric.
Okay. It's Notre Dame Men's Basketball Faculty Staff Appreciation Night. On February 26th is the Notre Dame Men's Basketball Faculty Staff Appreciation Night. The Irish play Georgia Tech that night at 7 p.m. and Notre Dame faculty and staff members will get a free ticket to the game when they buy a ticket to the game. All you have to do is show your faculty or staff ID at the ticket window on game day, and you can take advantage of the deal right now on UND.com with the promo code NDSTAFF.
Well done. Very well done.
Yeah.
We take next week off, and in 2 weeks I may not be back. All right, now the fast break. Well, you've done this before. You can have fun. Favorite all-time movie?
Friday Night Lights.
First car you ever drove?
I was going to say Escalade, but I didn't drive Escalade. It was an Avalon.
Okay. Get up early or sleep in?
Sleep in.
Absolutely. Movies or music?
Movies.
Who is your role model?
Role model, my mother.
Steak or seafood?
Seafood.
Favorite seafood?
Lobster.
Favorite pizza in the world?
Any pizza with chicken and bacon on it.
Isn't there? How about favorite pizza place in the world?
Lido's.
That's what I was going for. Thanks to you, I now know what Lido's Pizza is. One thing the public would be surprised to learn about you.
I can secretly sing.
Oh.
But I won't do
Okay.
it. I won't do it.
I won't do that to you. Favorite NBA player?
Brey Rondo.
If you were going to sing, what song would you sing?
Any song by Usher.
Okay. Favorite part of practice?
Stretching.
Worst part of practice?
When we run.
Thing you hear most often from Coach Brey in practice?
Oh. Run.
What do you like the best, scoring a basket or handing out an assist?
Handing out an assist.
Best part of your game?
Getting other people involved.
Part of the game that you need to work on?
Shooting consistency.
Player on the team most like you?
VJ Beecham.
Favorite dessert?
Ice cream with cookies.
Favorite thing to do when relaxing?
Yell at Pat Connaughton.
Favorite sport to play other than basketball?
Football.
Favorite sports team other than Notre Dame?
It's actually the Miami Hurricanes.
Really?
Football team.
All right, that's going to make a week from Saturday interesting.
Orioles.
Or, I mean, Wednesday.
Orioles. Come on, Eric.
Oh, yeah, the Orioles.
All right.
We're both O's fans.
Player and team most likely to be on the cell phone the longest?
Zach August.
Toughest class you've taken at Notre Dame?
Film and television.
Favorite class?
The history of film and television.
Gee, he said film and television. This isn't as easy as it looks, people. City or place in the world you'd most like to visit?
Paris, France.
You could go with Eric.
Could, yeah.
One person you would like to meet?
Michael Jordan.
Assistant coach who is most like Coach Brey?
Sometimes when I'm in the game and I look to the sideline, I get confused where Coach Brey starts and Robert Linus ends.
Best nickname on the team and who has it?
You're coming off the bench.
Eric Atkin.
Yes, starting lineup number 10 coming up, I understand. All right. What is EK? Is it EK? What is it?
He has a few.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said he can't tell me.
Yeah, no, I honestly don't
know.
No
one will tell me what they are. All right. Best player to room with on the road?
Pat Connaughton.
Toughest Notre Dame player to guard?
VJ Beecham.
Best defender on the team?
Pat Crowley.
Best leaper on the team?
VJ Beecham.
Best dunker on the team?
Pat Connaughton.
Worst dunker on the team?
Eric Atkins. Back at you. Finger roll Atkins.
Yeah. Yep. I'm not.
Were you going to name yourself?
No, I wasn't.
Well, who were you going to name? Because most of the players have named you, so you need to get them back here.
Man. The worst dunker is Garrick Sherman. Then.
Oh! And there is some truth to that. Best dresser on the team?
Me.
Worst dresser on the team?
Probably Pat Connaughton.
Ooh. Best singer on the team?
Me.
Worst singer on the team?
Pat Connaughton.
You know his mom and dad are here.
I know.
Okay. Best comedian on the team?
Best comedian. Zach August.
Best moment at Notre Dame so far?
Either beating Duke or that Syracuse. The Syracuse win was huge.
What are you going to miss the most about Notre Dame?
And I didn't mean to say the Syracuse win. I meant the Louisville win. But
the Syracuse win was good too.
Syracuse
that was valid.
as well.
You look at pretty good run.
He's been
pretty good run.
He's been part of some good stuff.
What was the next question? I'm sorry.
You're going to graduate, and you're going to leave us. Even though I want you to have another year eligibility, you don't. So what are you going to miss the most about Notre Dame?
I'm going to miss the people here. from my teammates, the coaches, the people working at the gym, and the FIDM, just everybody.
Thank you. Outstanding job, Eric. We'll be back to wrap things up on the Mike Brey Radio Show right after this. We are back at the Mike Brey Radio Show live from O'Rourke's Public House, and probably the most brutal road trip that this team has ever had in conference play, especially since you got to come back and get to class. You're going to cover more miles next week than you've ever covered before as a team.
Yeah, this is an amazing swing for us. You know, we'll practice Saturday afternoon and we'll get into Boston Saturday night. The nice thing about Sunday night's game, it's at 6 o'clock, so we'll be back at a reasonable time. Guys can get to class Monday and Tuesday. After practice Tuesday, on to Miami. We get in there. The other thing that's nice, we'll get into Miami late, but the game is late on Wednesday. We don't play till 9 o'clock. And then there's where it gets you a little bit.
That's good till you come back.
Yeah, and we're going to get back at 4 in the morning or whatever, and you turn around and you have to get to Charlottesville Friday for a 2 o'clock game. So, you know, what we do in practice on Monday and Thursday are really a key where we get our energy back up.
Obviously, 2 of these opponents you've already played. Who do you know on Miami? Anybody?
I don't know anyone on Miami, no.
And they've got they lost most of their key players from last year, but they're still a tough team, especially at home.
Really athletic. They're playing matchup zone. They're playing all zone. You know, they win at Florida State the other night. They've had some interesting. They win at Carolina. They got personnel. They've still got players. Certainly end up in Charlottesville, and I don't know if there's a better team in the league than Virginia. And you know, our goal is to play better than we did against them here. They were fabulous here. But let's start with Boston College, who I found out lost at the buzzer tonight. Georgia Tech threw a 3-point shot in on them.
74-71.
At the buzzer tonight. So we've got them on. It's sold out. And you know, the neat thing about Sunday, that's the old Big East Catholic school matchup, you know, that always brings out a lot of passion and venom and all of the above. So it'll be a great atmosphere on Sunday to play in.
Well, apparently there will be at least 400 there from various arms of the Connaughton family.
Well, there'll
be some more from the August family as well.
Well, we start 2 guys from right there in the BC backyard, so I know how much those 2 guys would like to get a win, and I know their teammates have been, you know, I think they talk to their teammates like, look, we got to get this one. You know, this is back home.
It's been a tough year for the Irish on the road, but traditionally, with you guys at the helm, you've had a lot of success, and I know you told your guys, let's get a second one this week.
Let's see if we can get 2 this week, get 2 in a row. You know, we've had these 1-1 weeks. I've certainly had an 0-2 week. Let's get 2 in a row and get a road win, and then see where we are after that confidence-wise.
Eric, great job. Thank you very much.
Great job,
thank you as always.
Great job, EA.
Sunday night, 6 o'clock, pregame here on WSBT at 540. For Coach Brey and Eric Atkins, I'm Jack Nolan. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for listening, and go Irish.
Team